as we all know, Helen was a big part of the town as our town justice.
She was a
She
hoot.
passed?
Huh? She passed Saturday,
Oh.
yeah. So town justice, she was a hoot.
She was a hoot.
Yes, she was. Okay, so moving along, I'm looking, has everyone had a chance to read through the minutes from December 19th?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Okay, Neil, a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, so we're gonna skip over Randy's, and if he comes in later, because he's at that accident, if he comes in, then we'll go back. So we'll go, skip right over and go to the old business, the museum fundraiser. It is now up to $31,916. We did finally hear that we did not get the grant through ORPHA, New York State Office of Parks and Recreation and Historic Preservation. So Chris has applied for a grant through AARCH, which is a grant through the National Park Service of Historic Preservation Projects. And she's quite excited about that one. She's feeling optimistic. Number two, next we had the campground updates. I truthfully at this point don't have many updates. Our county board meeting is Thursday, which I'm sure we'll hear a lot more on that, but I know Don, good job, you even printed it.
I printed a copy in case you didn't see it. But I can highlight what was on it.
Sure, go right ahead if you would, please.
Yeah, this was done by, it's a Ruth survey, visitor survey. And it says, for the first time, percentage of travelers visiting the region during the fall months surpassed the percentage of summer visitors. So fall is the big season now. Percentage of visitors that came in the fall months was 30%, summer was 26%.
Excuse me, now, is this for the whole area or campsite? This is roofs.
This is Ruth, this is
So
visitors.
the whole area, yeah.
The whole area.
Okay.
Visitors, and it lists the counties somewhere in here. Hamilton was one of them.
But I think the visitors to the campsites would reflect the same percentages.
Yeah, well, it goes on.
Goes on, it breaks it down.
Percent interested in hiking, it says paddling ranked number 2 in outdoor activities at 34%. I'm just skipping over the important stuff. And the campsites are all on the lakes, and most of the people that paddle on the lakes stay at campsites. Average age of visitors is 59, which is kind of up there in age. And percentage that stayed in hotels or motels is 38%. 16% stayed in private home rentals, 15% stayed with family and friends, and 15% reported camping RV. So it's a pretty big chunk.
Sure.
And then there's just says the question remains going forward, will seasonal businesses need to adjust and stay open later into the fall? Well, the state is planning on
Wrong way.
the opposite end, so that's basically what it said. And I don't know, did you look at the email I sent out this evening? It's from the Adirondack Explorer, and it has the town of Webb.
Yeah, but I couldn't open it. It said that you couldn't access that.
Oh,
I tried to open it. That was yesterday, right?
today.
Oh, then the one from yesterday wouldn't open.
Yeah, I sent it to you and CC'd everybody, but it's an article from the Adirondack Explorer. I like reading that because it gives a lot of
Yeah,
information.
always good.
So Rochelle, just out of curiosity, would you happen to know through your office what Roost is doing? I'm sure they're not sitting back, I'm sure they're moving along. Do you have any clue what they're doing?
I don't know specifically what. I know that Michelle Clement, who is one of the higher ups at Roost and was the TPA for our area for a long time, is working with Jim McKenna, who was the CEO of Roost, to just try to make some waves. But as to what it is they're doing, I'm not sure.
Okay,
They know the contacts and who to talk to, and because I think it's affecting some of their campsites further north as well.
okay. I do know that a lot of people from down in the Catskills are writing letters
It's
and
not-
also,
Something must have gone wrong.
pursuing this because they're concerned it's gonna be the
The work,
trickle effect.
sure.
And it's gonna start affecting them
Of course.
too as time goes on. So they're kind of jumping on the bandwagon and writing letters and phone calls and stuff. So I don't really have too much, I won't know much more until Thursday, when we meet at county level to find out, where we are in the past week and a half. So I'll have for you for the next meeting, or if there's something that we should be doing in the meantime, something different, I'll certainly get in touch with you guys and do it via email or whatever.
Right.
Continue to write the letters is what they're saying, continue to push those letters out.
Have you gotten the sense, because you referenced before the meeting something about the budget, have you gotten the sense that by whatever means, that they're spreading this as a savings to themselves? Because they have only alluded to it a little bit.
But they have.
I don't think it's true, so I think they're kind of skirting around on it. By that I mean, the budget's gonna come and the budget's gonna go, and they're not usually on time and yada yada. But I think we continue this through the winter, whether budget comes or not, including into the spring when, we all show up there in our footed jammies and sleep out
Right.
overnight.
Well, they're saying it's budgetary and it's also, they can't get the help.
Help is a management concern, clearly, but it's
How do
one
they
that-
know over a year ahead of time?
that
And
is-
also, if you're gonna cut the employment season, why would people apply?
Absolutely.
You know,
It's discouraging
It's
them more than
self-defeating.
anything, it
Yeah.
absolutely is.
Rochelle, it's exactly that. This is moving around. I can't still, having spoken to our mole on this issue, I cannot still see where this was a good play for them. You can't be spending millions down the hall promoting the Adirondacks and pictures and this and that. And then down here saying, well, but the most beautiful, I don't care how much you love summer, most beautiful time of year here, let's close.
Yeah,
It's just,
It's the best time of year, if
No
you
question.
no bugs, beautiful.
Yep,
My answer lady, when I was, Ally, when I was messaging back and forth with her, she said, and nothing has been set in stone, but she says, it is of a discussion in order to better manage some facilities.
yeah, that's just.
So they didn't want to tell her what. They didn't
That's
know.
just
They don't know.
easy
It's an
speak.
excuse.
That's
Yeah,
easy speak.
they will contact me again with more information.
okay. Anybody have anything else to add
So
at this point on that?
No.
No? Okay. So let's move along to the resolution, and being it's only us and we all know what the resolution is, we all have got a copy, I'm not gonna bother reading it. It's the change of insurance status from retirees, section 708. Do you want me to read it, or is everybody?
I move it.
I'll second.
Neil, okay. Any discussion?
Housekeeping.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okey dokey. Okay, so that's that. Put that in the wrong place. The next resolution was the addition to the employee handbook, 705, disclosure of insurance. When Kathy and I were going through all this, we realized that in our handbook, this was not covered with dependents, so.
That was a
we felt-
Stephanie, a question I had for Stephanie with this third clause.
Right.
Because is there a family option in the retiree? Her answer was, there are some people that turn 65 and their dependents are still there. We went back to the handbook and there was nothing. Now, I don't know, I'm still a rookie at writing these, I don't know why you have to have all of these whereases, but, are they required?
No.
Thank you. So basically, we found that there was nothing in there, so Stephanie said the place that it goes is between changes in status and beneficiary in the handbook, but basically there's two versions. She split spouses out, I didn't split them from dependents, so it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Basically, we're saying, when they retire, their dependents, whether it be spouse until 65 or children until 26, stay on the insurance.
It was easily read, it's plain.
Yeah, so I don't particularly care which way it goes, but
You move it.
I'd rather not, because
Well, I would.
there's two different versions here.
Would you have a preference?
I
Like the
just,
loss
I
of-
prefer things plain and simple.
Me too.
And that's the way I worded it, and then Stephanie felt it was more important to show that one covered spouse and one covered dependents, basically, right?
So what you're saying is the one where we have the dependents and the spouse covered in the same paragraph is the one I thought we
It's
were
the
going
one,
with.
it's the one that we can go with, this one just says, this one, dependents 26, and this one, what's the difference here? Covered,
I've got three whereases instead of.
yeah, there's too many, so basically, dependents covered under an employee's insurance will continue to have coverage under regular insurance until they reach the age of 65 as a spouse, or the dependent reaches the age of 26.
Okay. That's the one I
But
thought
you-
we were going with.
Okay,
So
sounds
moved.
good?
I get bogged down in the whereas.
Neil's moving?
Okay, so
Yes.
who moved it?
Me.
Neil moved it, okay.
I'll second.
Also good housekeeping.
Okay,
We
is there
found
any
a hole
further
in the
discussion?
handbook.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So the next thing I have, it's gonna be a little confusing
Oh, goody.
because, yeah, well, I thought I had some good news. There were two new laws passed recently in December. One is for our senior citizens. The new law requires municipalities where real estate tax, property tax exemption for seniors exists to notify senior citizens that they may be eligible to receive an exemption via a second notice. The first notice is already mandated and found on the back of their tax bills, and it says senior citizens, and it's, so if you look at your bills at home. The second notification must be sent 30 days prior to March 1st, taxable status day filing deadline for exemptions. Now, I did call Barry Baker on this. Senior citizens 65, they have 65 years or older, they have to be a full-time resident, lots of lights, huh? A full-time resident, and they have to make under $39,000 a year. Here's the clinker. The village and the town are gonna have to get together because we actually have to figure out who these people are, and we have to send out notices to every single one of them.
What?
This is
The
state
law.
law?
How are
State
larger
law.
areas doing this?
Every town is doing it separately, county is not doing it.
But excuse me, and you may not know the answer to this. How are we supposed to know
There were,
people's ages, but more importantly, their incomes? How could we possibly,
I don't know this.
or more importantly, how would this town clerk know this?
Right,
well, that's,
Well-
I mean, that's not something that is general
Proprietary knowledge,
knowledge.
of course.
Exactly.
according to him, another notice for people that are over 65 and may be eligible regardless of income, we have to do this. County can help with the list. County never adopted one, so Lake Pleasant and the village have to do one together.
So the county never adopted one what?
A law,
senior-
a senior citizen
A senior
discount law,
exemption.
exemption. But town of Lake Pleasant did years ago. There was quite a few
Goddamn
towns.
seniors.
Well, wait a
See,
minute.
the county has not adopted the senior exemption, nor did Benson, Inlet, or Morehouse. So separate notices will need to be sent in Arietta, Hope, Indian Lake, Lake Pleasant, Long Lake, and Wells to all senior citizens who do not currently have the exemption and no later than January 30th. So we've got to move our butts.
You just,
Can't we?
why do you have to send a targeted letter? I mean,
Right.
you can just send a
Send it
letter
to-
out,
Can you do an every door direct
Everybody.
and
either
send it
that
to
or
everybody?
you put
Either it
an
applies to
ad
you or it
in
doesn't.
the
Cheaper.
paper. Can you put an ad in the paper and do it that way?
I would be afraid, what about people that don't get a paper? I don't
Oh,
know.
you're right.
I don't
What
know.
about, what Michelle's talking about is when you run for office, you pay the post offices for the two. They put a flyer in there. you
Everybody's
charge
mailbox,
the-
everybody's PO box,
Yeah, I
like,
mean, it's
it
not-
goes to
It's not cheap,
everyone.
but it would be a whole lot easier than this.
Yeah.
So,
Just
Now,
send a
you-
letter to everybody on the tax rolls, I would say.
Okay, just bang them out.
Yep.
If this applies to you, how could we possibly know?
And
those
especially to do it
applies?
in that short of a time period.
Yes, thank you.
I'm giving out tax receipts, do you want it to go in those?
you can't do that legally.
No.
Okay.
You're not allowed to
Not-
put
not mail
anything
it.
in tax receipts.
Okay.
We used to put all
Bills
kinds
or
of things.
You
anything.
hand it to
Is
them
this the
on the side.
postage?
Yeah, no, Stephanie, good idea. We used to put all kinds of things in the tax bills.
But
Yeah.
And
Steph
then we
does have a good,
slap down with it.
Rochelle does have a good idea. Can't she just kind of hand it to them when they come in?
Who cares? Let's take this too.
When who
They
come
don't
in?
all come
When the
in.
people
Yeah.
come in to pay their taxes, a lot of them come into the office.
But not all.
Hand them the letter, not
I mean, again, we're
all.
not
How do
covering.
you, then
And
again,
how do you know
yeah,
whether
yeah.
they're full-time
I
residents?
think we're just gonna have to
By
bite the
the
bullet
way,
and.
what, I like what you've done with your hair. How old are you?
Yeah.
And how much do you
And
make?
how much do you make?
Yes, you're
It's
looking
By the
very
way,
good
how
for
much
your
do you
age.
weigh?
Are these the same assholes that just gave themselves a raise?
What's your blood type?
Well, it
I
even
mean-
gets better, guys.
Oh, God.
Shall I go
Oh,
on?
God.
No.
So wait a minute, let's,
Figure this
so
out,
let's
man.
settle this part first.
I think you should do the post office thing,
Lake Pleasant and Speculator.
Okay.
All the tax roll names.
all the tax.
So Don, you moving that?
Yes.
Motion
Second,
by Don.
what do they call it again?
Every door
Target.
direct.
Every door direct. I did it for a couple of elections, very smart.
Mailings, and
Yeah.
And Neil seconded it.
I did.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay, so next we go to the
You didn't call the vote, but
I got
Any
it.
further
Don,
discussion?
you, any further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Sorry,
But
you got me.
beyond that, this doesn't have to fall in that discussion.
No.
You also mentioned having us to have to get together with the village.
Mhm.
Don't see where that's necessary either. If this thing, the stuff goes out on our dime to everyone in the town and village, because they all get a town bill, right?
Mhm.
You're not intimating that we have to then round up again, because the village taxes come out a different time.
Can I kiss you and hug you right now? You're getting me off the hook.
Well, you know what I'm saying, I get a huge village tax, right? You all don't, but I do. My town tax is only a third of my village tax, but it comes out at a different time, as does elections and everything else that's, crazy about village law. But I don't see where we have to double back on that. They will have already received.
Cause it's the
a
town
form letter.
it's the town assessor that does the star exemption in the first place.
Yes,
County, yep,
yes,
So,
town.
yes, for us.
so the village doesn't do it separately, so it's our
They don't
responsibility
separately
anyway.
assess in the last 40 years, no more.
Okay,
So I don't see we have
Okay.
to hold their hand.
okay, so we'll have a job to do then, okay.
Well, that's terrible.
So the second part, the second law for volunteer fire department. In general terms, the new law gives municipalities, school districts, and fire departments throughout the state the option to provide a property tax exemption of 10% of the assessed value to volunteer firefighters and ambulance members. The exemption would be valid only on property used exclusively for residential purposes. If a portion of the volunteer's property is used for other purposes, the exemption would be prorated accordingly. In order to be eligible for this partial exemption, volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers must live in the community served by their volunteer organization and meet the minimum service requirement of between 2 to 5 years as set by the respective taxing jurisdiction. Additionally, at local option, a lifetime exemption may be provided to volunteers with at least 20 years of service as long as they maintain their primary residence in the county that they have served. So, after talking to Barry, because we are a municipality, we ourselves would have to pass a local law granting this exemption for the fire department. I think after talking to Barry, there's no feasible way we can do this and have it done. The cutoff date is March 1st. So I think we should do it with the intent that we get it completed for the year 2024. I think that would be best. The fire department can adopt a resolution. They don't have to do the local law, but that would come out of the fire department taxes then, if the fire department does it. So I think it would be best if the town did it. EMS, he wasn't sure about, and he said, and another thing you have to think about is people, when they file their income tax, get like a deduction, a $200 deduction for single and a $400 for married. you have to decide which exemption would be more beneficial, that or this 10% volunteer fire department. So,
So can I ask a question?
yeah, sure, if I can answer
So
it.
these are new initiatives from our recently raised pay state legislature.
Yep,
Are these mandatory to all municipalities? Or is this, I'm not quite sure. We have a whole, you know, cacophony of things that we do for folks already. Most of it was done on our own initiative. Is this now mandatory?
I don't actually, that's a good question, Neil, I don't really know that it's mandatory, so maybe it's a wise
This is
idea if we.
confusing for
it
people,
is.
including, even for the people we're trying to benefit. I'm not so sure that, if Barry says it is, then I guess it is, I wouldn't question that, but, this sounds like usual word vomit from Albany that is unclear as soup.
Well, believe me, I have been getting texts and emails from volunteer firemen and EMS asking me if I've heard about this, and I told them that I had it on the agenda for us to discuss. But again, it's nothing that we can do for this year, but Neil, that's a good question, and I would,
Absolutely no way we could pass a
I would
local
like
law.
to, I would like to
Not do it
table this.
right.
Well, you can't possibly do a local law with all the hoops we have to, you can't do it between now.
Because, so first you have to draft the law, then you have to get it approved by the attorney, then you have to take it to
Well,
public
it's gotta go
referendum.
45, right?
Yeah, it's 45 days.
That's what we're saying, we can't have it done by
Okay,
March 1st.
Feasibly,
No, we
The
can't.
state has really kinda
But
made it tough for
you
us.
also pointed out something, probably something Barry said about a resolution from the acting fire department. Why wouldn't we go that route? At least then we would know they were interested in this as opposed to us cramming this down their throats, because I don't know that it sounds like it's not much of a benefit.
Then I had one fireman say something, and I have to tell you all, I won't use any names, said, you know, I'm looking at this, Betsy, we're firemen because it's in our heart and we wanna do it because that's what we think is the right thing. We're not doing it for these exemptions.
That's what I've been told for years.
And I kinda thought, wow, that's just such a nice thought coming from somebody.
Yeah.
You know, we all work for the same thing, we're not doing the fire department thing to
benefit for
To benefit.
to benefit the
And
community.
it might make their lives actually more difficult if they have to see what deduction, unless you hire an accountant, this may be a complete waste of time.
So, I'm
And from a completely, another vantage point, we have, in our township, we have 2 fire departments. One that's owned by a municipality and one that contracts with the town. I'm not in the Lake Pleasant Fire District. Would this law affect me or not? Should we pass this law? You're getting some pretty deep grass here.
oh yeah.
I think if the fire companies are stridently in favor of this, let them either send us a letter or, at the very least, pass a resolution that they want to do it. They could probably fast track it a lot faster than we could.
So, that was 2 good points, Neil, that you had. And one is is it mandatory,
Well,
this
start
new
there,
law? That's the first, but then the second, it almost seems like the fire department to adopt a resolution would be the best way to go. And they can all individually do it themselves within their own town. See, of all the towns, we're the only one that it's gonna be a little difficult because we've got a town and a village. And we've got one in the town and one in the village, but we also have our EMSs in the village, not the town. So I think this is gonna be a little bit,
Yeah, but it would affect the amount they pay in town taxes. It wouldn't affect the amount they pay in village
Right,
taxes.
right.
Unless the village can do something.
But again, imagine how confusing, if
That's
we
where
would
I'm
have
going.
passed a blanket one, that's true, but would my town taxes go up or down if we would have passed this when I'm not, my fire taxes are not in my town tax? You know what I'm saying?
Right, it's a separate.
It's a separate thing. And the village is a whole different animal. The village fire department does not, they present a wish list to the village board, but they don't pass a budget. They don't run under a budget.
No, but we
The village pays their bills.
It's the same thing as the last thing we were discussing. We shouldn't really be concerned about the village because this is for the town. You know, I mean, the town taxes.
So
It's
do
not-
the village firemen get a piece of this pie if we go ahead with it?
So, but the village has to pass their own.
Oh, so the village would do their own?
The village has to do their own. I sent the information to Jeanette this morning. I forgot to send it to her Friday when I sent it to Ken Kurt, and I guess it was mentioned at the
All it
ambulance
means
corps.
is if you're a member of the fire department, you're gonna pay a little less in taxes.
But there was I'm confused now, because somebody said that you can only take so many deductions.
Well, that's what Barry was pointing out.
Okay, so then they'd have to figure out which deduction.
Right.
Would make more sense.
The 200,
Would be,
400,
would be more of a
10%.
savings, right.
Well, here's one more fly in the ointment, and Randy, you might remember this, you're not ambulance corps right now, I don't think, but one of the things that has been a sticking point was that there's a LoSAP, a length of service, award program for both departments, much more lucrative, in the town. The town's one is the most generous, in the county, and actually in the region. The village does one, but it's half of what the town does. But I used to get some pushback many years ago from people that were volunteers in the ambulance corps, because there was no because there's no municipal support for the ambulance, there's also no LoSAP for the ambulance.
Right.
So while I think this is really negligible, whether we should get involved in it for the fire departments, with the EMS, it does kind of make sense, that they would get at least some tax break, because they don't get any, reward for their length of service. So it's a very mixed bag, but certainly one that our overpaid, underworked, chuckleheads in Albany could only vomit this up and say, have it back to us by March. It's preposterous.
Yeah.
I say, put it in a drawer and tell them, come, send somebody up on the state's dime and figure it out for us. Otherwise, we're gonna send it to our two fire departments and see if they'd like to resolve it themselves. Cause this thing's
Yeah.
that's an abortion, that's terrible.
Okay, so honestly, I think at this point, we're just gonna table this whole discussion to the next meeting, and I will talk to the fire department.
And Barry.
And Barry again, and I'll also find out about this being mandatory or not. Again, I just got it, Barry sent it out Friday afternoon. So it's all kind of new to all of us, including himself, so, okay. Before we go into any further new business, we'll go back to highway so Randy can, we knew you were busy, so we just
Okay, you
kinda,
knew where I was?
we
Yeah.
did.
I apologize.
Don't apologize.
Lawrence is
You're doing a
Florida.
good deed.
Oh. Yep, kinda close.
We were tailing you guys whether you
Yeah,
knew it or
yeah.
not.
So, aside from that, the BR 110 was picked up last Friday. And very happy people west of Rochester own it now. We should be receiving a check from Auctions International anytime.
Okay,
They paid them, so it's just a matter
Yep.
of flip flop.
yep, okay.
We received a check for the rest of the CHIPS money. I'm sure you knew that, or maybe not. Okay. That's glad to see all of our CHIPS money in the same fiscal year.
Yeah.
Makes that very nice,
Okay, good.
Just barely, but.
just barely. We are, I say we, Betsy and I, and the insurance company, Steve Son, the representative, they're trying to get the remainder of our parking lot money for paving this parking lot this fall. I think I reported that a while back that we turned all the information in and then nothing ever came of it. And there seems to be I don't know, discrepancy. There's $2,700 over what the adjuster guessed it would be. It's blacktop. It went through the roof, so didn't surprise me. But Steve is now going to pursue it. I gave him all the information and the breakdown of every part of the bill, so on and so forth. And he's going to try to get to the bottom of it. They retained $5,000 and change right off the bat because until the job was done, We haven't received that either, you know, so there's about $7,800 floating out there somewhere. That's the, you know, my guesswork here. And I thought it would be nice to get it in the same fiscal year, but that didn't happen, so. Insurance companies, I guess you can write that one down too.
Did, that last water main break?
That's my next thing,
Oh, okay.
patience, done.
I've been concerned.
So since then, we've had another water infraction. It was not the main, it was, once they dug it up, it was Christmas Day, I got a phone call from a resident that his driveway was being flooded again, and it appeared to be enough water that it was, probably a water main. So I came down, took pictures of it, sent it to the water department guy, and he came back up the next day, he called the resident, came back the next day, they looked at it, they waited 3, 4 days, 5 days, whatever, for the weather to warm up and more people to be available. They dug it up, and the tap that got installed in 1999 for the health center, to supply water to the health center, the straps that held that tap onto the water main corroded away and literally came up. So, in my mind, that's something that is relatively in the water world that new. I think they need to start thinking about doing some different taps on the water mains. You know, they make stainless steel ones, they make all kinds of different ones, and obviously this one didn't hold up.
Yeah, you would assume they use stainless steel.
I was with them for about 45 minutes at the dig, and clearly, this is on the village's side.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, they brought it right up and some of the village board was there and showed it to them and, you know. So the good thing is, they only cut about 3 foot square out of our corner of our blacktop driveway.
Which is really
And
thick right there. I mean, they
That's what
really
it's
laid
supposed
it.
to be.
I know, they really, but that was good. I said to them, is that 6 inches? It was seriously like 5, 6 inches of
It's
solid.
supposed to be 5, so.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
And it was beautiful, compacted blacktop, and I said,
It's a good way to check the
I hope you're
work.
planning on putting that back.
Right.
And they said, we will try. So that's where we stand. Now,
So there was also a great amount of infiltration there
that's my next
by
statement.
state water from the culverts across the street, which is just all the time happening. And having
Right.
lived on this side of it for a long time.
So there's a culvert that crosses the road right there. An 18-inch culvert crosses underneath the state highway, goes into that little hole that's beyond there, and then we have an 18-inch culvert that crosses the parking lot, through the lawn, and over to this creek. Now, the culvert, when they exposed it, is rusted and rotted out so bad that the water is running in to the ditch that they were working in, and they're constantly pumping it out. I called DOT, said, you know, at least come up, take pictures, take a look at it, what are you gonna do with this? And their fix was throw a mud flap over it, bury it, and we'll address it in summertime.
They don't, yeah, they don't
That is
usually
exactly
tackle,
what we did.
but they don't usually tackle any of that sort of stuff until
No,
construction
you
season.
don't try to rip up this state highway in the middle of winter.
No.
I will rest assured that
No.
it's gonna have to
But
be
it,
really
it was
bad.
falling in, I mean, they had a sheeting box here
Yeah.
for their work, because every time, Ed would start to get down in there, it would just get more and more and more
They
coming.
never used it, but.
No, they never did, no.
So, I'm suspecting this spring, summertime, hopefully that they come up with a plan, talk to us about it, because it has to be higher than our culvert. The discharge of that one
Seems
has
right.
to end up higher than the inlet of ours that takes it out of that hole. Otherwise, there's going to be a settlement pond
Right.
sitting here next to us.
And then more erosion, which will cause the same,
It will
Problem.
backfill up with silt, it will plug half of their culvert, it will create a infest of mosquitoes,
Right.
and so on and so forth. So hopefully there's a plan that comes by my desk.
Direct it over to Mullins' driveway, that'll get some action.
He was already pretty upset that they were pumping that water again down his driveway.
well, did this break cause any of the undermining that the last break caused?
No. No,
Good.
this just happened to be right next door.
Right on the corner of it.
20 feet away from.
Okay,
the
so it
last-
didn't cause any of the undermining of the parking area the way the last one did?
No.
Okay,
No,
good.
because the break was here and the water was discharging that way,
To that side.
that other person's driveway.
Okay, and I have a question too. Now, there are basically two different occurrences.
Mhm.
One was the main, one was the tap. That's an old pipe there. Do they have any future plans for that pipe, or you're just gonna wait for it to break
No.
again?
They say that this pipe is just like the rest of them, they just keep patching. I will say this, they didn't have a new tap, they got one from Wells brought one up, and it is a stainless steel sleeve this long.
Nice.
It goes around it with 4 or 5 bolts that has that tap, not just 2 of those fetter rod
Yeah,
pieces.
the correct way to
So
do
this
it.
is much more. Maybe back in 1999, they didn't have such, so, who knows? But it's been fixed, and in the springtime, we'll patch it and see what the state wants to do with the other problem that came up. 7 o'clock, no?
No,
Well, it's 7:35.
Oh, boy.
Maybe they're calling a meeting now.
So, I didn't find this one.
it's just
Um,
one off.
So, I think the rest of it is all really good news. Liz is coming back to work Monday.
Yay.
I have a doctor's slip that says she can return to work. Her plan is she has 3 weeks off from anything. So she's going to work 3 weeks. She has some doctor appointments in those 3 weeks for checkups and so on and so forth. The county has, I spoke to Tracy today, and we're not going to have to fill in for her. She's gonna have the appointments in the afternoon, so she's gonna work whatever she can, and then they said they could fill in for the rest of the day, so I don't have to keep juggling people back and forth. So that was good that way. Then she starts radiation, and she has no schedule at this point, so she'll let me know, and we'll just work it out. So, next week she comes back to work.
So I probably shouldn't tell you this, but you know, I have experience at working at the transfer station.
Yeah,
You need to
should've told
fill
me
in.
that.
Yeah, we should've kept that quiet.
I'm gonna
I've
keep,
already stuck you in a snowplow, so now.
I'm gonna keep it quiet about my experience.
The next one is, I got, a lovely phone call Friday evening, just before Christmas, and the garbage truck is now on schedule to be built the first week of February.
Okay.
So the expected delivery to Utica is the 3rd week of February. And then CEJJ, the box company, I've not contacted them yet, but their original quote was 6 weeks to build it. So that puts us somewhere end of March, early April for a delivery. In which that point in time, the tidbit of bad news is we need to have the funds available.
No, we knew that was coming.
Right, that's no surprise, but that's
Now we're going with a ban, correct? So
the
Steph will have to
remainder
work.
of what we needed was a small van for
Yep.
that. So I don't know if you need did we ever do a resolution to get so said van?
We sure did.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure.
We did?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Have to check, but I'm pretty sure.
just wanted to make sure, that's all. Which I don't think she can start one without that.
I'm kinda glad it's gonna take that long, because it'll miss one winter then, basically.
Yeah,
Good point.
really, good
Very
point,
good.
yeah.
Yep,
But we're gonna undercoat it anyway, right?
correct, we are.
And I saw the
In-house.
old one go by today, and I said, whoa.
Just all we're talking about.
We still have a couple months.
Exactly, we cross our
Pretty
fingers every
ugly.
time it starts in the morning.
Yes. Yep.
The stuff freezes in it.
Yeah, what's the, water freezes on the side, don't put any salt on it.
Right, the, next one, while we're talking about bans, I called our state, emergency management people about the FEMA changing the scope of work for option B for the bridge. And they didn't get back to me, so I called them again last week. And they are not getting any answer from them, and they say that typically means that there's no problem, it's a matter of sitting on someone's desk, and we will work through this. And I said, well, that doesn't pay for the bridge. I need some sort of, movement in this project. And because March, April, probably May, they're coming, for a deposit, I'm assuming. So that they wanted to complete it by June, so,
Sure.
we're going to need that van also. And that's a much bigger van. So I really want FEMA to get off their butt and get this all,
Yeah,
know that this bill is coming to them. Or at least 75% of them,
They know, but it's good for you to remind them.
yeah, they definitely know,
They know.
someone knows, so. That's it.
trees?
Trees. Oh, the trees. Thank you, Betsy. I completely forgot about that. We got contacted by a landowner again for the golf course road, Caucus Road trees that are, there's a tree that was in, having several complaints in the years past, that it was dying, that it was dropping branches every time there was a windstorm or a snowstorm or this or that. So this gentleman contacted Betsy, Betsy contacted me, it's the same family. So I made a phone call to National Grid, because there was a power line close to it, we'll just call it that. And we've worked very well in the past, National Grid and the town. So they sent a crew up the very next morning at 5 AM, I got a phone call, said the crew is coming. And that day took a tree down.
Good.
And took down another, limbed another one, they're going to take it down, it was on the golf course
So they
side.
send Asplund or one of those guys?
Yep,
Good.
their private street
Mm-hmm.
group. So, thank you to them.
Yeah, no kidding.
And we took it all the way down to probably 10, 12 feet sticking out of the ground, and there's no limbs on it, so it's fine and dandy, because we don't want to remove the stump, because the roots are gonna be underneath the blacktop road, causing major fiscal problems. So if that wasn't bad enough, that same day, the gentleman somehow got my phone number. And says, so when they're there, they're gonna take the other tree down in my yard? And I said, well, I don't know if that's a town tree, that one might be out of our survey area and so on and so forth. He says, well, while they're there, I said, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they're just getting this one on the ground now, they came up here at 5 in the morning.
And this is the first he's brought this tree up to you?
Yeah.
Does he,
Yeah,
when
of
he
course.
calls you, you assume he has a phone then, right?
Huh? Yeah.
He
Yeah,
called
yeah,
you.
He called me.
Right, but you can look up National Grid and call on your own if you
Right.
think you're lucky enough.
So,
You're not gonna do it on
needless
the
to say, I said, well, when summer comes, we'll start looking for survey stakes and see that if it is or isn't. I said, you can probably make the same phone call I did
There you go.
to National Grid if it's on your land, because the same power line goes right by it. And it is obvious, this one is definitely obvious that it's got a hole in it this big around. Why he wasn't complaining about this before, I'm not sure. But it's definitely set back farther. He says the stake is right behind it. Whatever.
So it's got
This tree just appeared on the complaint department
fresh hammer marks on it.
once he found out that we were doing one.
So he didn't call to thank you, is that what you're trying to tell us?
He thanked me.
Oh, okay.
And then he made
That's
his
nice.
list, his request.
He's just not happy with him. Look at it too.
Like I said,
Ride down there.
yeah,
Look at it.
that's a good idea.
So, it's the tree
Yeah,
just
and then-
before
then there's
when
the
it came down.
And the county maps, property maps will be used to determine, how do you
I have-
determine that?
Oh, we have a deeded road to this.
Yeah, you can't use the tax maps for anything.
I have a deed to that road, which I found, got. Then I went up to mapping department at the county, and they have surveys of other people's properties. And on those surveys are the starting points, which happen to be our road. So it shows exactly the line of survey stakes, pins, everything. all
Got
set
it,
up.
so
Center
you're
line.
covered.
Yeah,
Center line
when the
of
snow
focus.
melts, we'll be able to find what we need to find.
Yeah,
Good.
So,
And this is-
and conveniently, it was done correctly when they subdivided it. It's exact straight road.
oh, nice.
Nice.
And then it turns at like 45 and then it goes straight again. They made it very easy.
This is Colfax,
Yeah,
just Colfax.
Coffice Road,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, good.
Good job.
It's just funny that, thank you, and then, oh, by the way.
By the way,
Yeah, it should be easy, because that's a whole subdivision down there.
It's
Yeah.
never easy,
Yeah.
Don.
It's never easy,
Never.
but, so that's it. The
That's
growers
it?
are put away for now and, till we get some more snow.
yeah, not satisfied.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to our organizational appointments, and resolutions. So the first group, I'm going to read them all and we'll just look for one motion, first and second, and discussion for all of them. The first is Deputy Supervisor Neil McGovern, Budget Officer Nancy Seitz, Attorney for Town would be Young and Somers, Historian Aaron Weaver, Official Bank NBT, Health Insurance Rep Stephanie Smith, Justice Court Clerk Faith Cleveland, Animal Control Officer Mike Peck, Deputy Control Officer Laura Peck, Register of Vital Statistics and Handicap Permit Issuer Stephanie Smith, Purchasing Agent Betsy Bain, Youth Rec Director Samantha DeRocha, Parks and Rec Foreman Randy Lavarnway, Refuse and Recyclable Foreman Randy Lavarnway, Highway Superintendent Foreman Ed Brooks, Zoning Officer, Code Enforcement Officer Steve Page, Official Newspaper Hamilton County Express. So I'm looking for a motion to accept these appointments.
I'll move.
A second?
A second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, looking to authorize the superintendent of highways to make purchases of tools, etc., at a cost not to exceed $2,999, and to buy oil, tires, salt at state contract pricing. I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Neil, Don, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next, to set mileage rate for reimbursement, at this time, I'm going to leave it at .625. The state has not come out with a new rate or a change of rate yet, so we may have to be revisiting this down the road in the next few weeks, but I'm looking for a motion.
Move.
Kathy?
1 second.
Okay, Rochelle? Discussion?
Only that we don't have to revisit it, and that we don't have to.
No, but,
We typically match the
We typically
IRS
do.
rate.
But
We do.
if they're not keeping up,
no, they
We
haven't
did
yet.
we had a change halfway through the year, this past year,
Yeah.
which probably,
because
the
of
reason.
the
Because usually we have it by
jump in
now.
price.
Okay, is there any discussion? Or did we just have it? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Town of Lake Pleasant to adopt the highway schedule as established by Hamilton County. Motion?
That's the work schedule?
the
No,
holiday.
holiday schedule.
Got it.
A second, Michelle? Any discussion?
I would just wanna make sure that Juneteenth is in there.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The regular scheduled town board meetings will be held at the Lake Pleasant Library, 2864 Route 8, Speculator, New York, at 7 p.m. on the first and third Monday of each month, or otherwise published and/or posted. There will not be a meeting on a Monday holiday. I'm looking for a motion.
Move.
Okay, Kathy? Second?
1 second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Town hall hours will be 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Looking for a motion?
So moved.
Okay, a second.
Second.
Kathy, discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Town clerk office hours are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, or access to town hall outside of business hours can be done by appointment through the town clerk. Looking for a motion?
I'll move.
Michelle?
Second.
Kathy? Discussion.
How was that different than the one we just did? Did I miss something?
This is town clerk hours,
As opposed to the town hall?
town hall. The first one was just specifically town hall, and the reason is we thought Steph was thinking about maybe changing her hours and days, but she's decided to, the only thing to change is the business hours can be done by appointment if they're outside of town clerk hours. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, next is committee reports.
That's all the organizational?
That's it.
You're getting pretty quick.
The appointments will be the next meeting,
Right.
the committee appointments. Okay. Kathy, you want to start? Anything for committee reports?
No, we need some snow so we can have some ski lessons. Please.
Exactly.
Samantha's working on a sledding party. The Arundequoit has a possible location, and did we have any concerns about that?
Well, are the parents taking them there?
Oh, yeah, it would be,
Yeah, I think, and she was talking about doing it in conjunction with Arietta Youth Rec with Sheila Kraus.
and the Arundequoit is convenient for
I don't have a problem with that.
STR committee will pick up again at the end of the month. I don't remember the exact date. It's youth rec. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Cemeteries are closed, so I don't have to worry about that one right now.
Okay. Anything else, Michelle, from you?
I don't think so.
No? Neil?
Nothing on committees, I don't think.
Short-term rental, if you want, I can get that link from you.
Thank you.
And that links to the town of Webb's short-term rental law.
I've seen it.
Yes, that's what
I
was
have that
talking
one.
about.
But I'd like to see any news they have posted alongside of it. Northville has just adopted.
Oh.
And I was just reading an article that North Elba has put a stay on any new short-term rentals. The big concern is there's no housing for workers.
Didn't Lake George do that a year or two ago?
They did.
I thought
They're,
so.
they're in it now.
Lake
Yes.
Placid also.
Lake Placid too?
Well, that's North Elba.
That is
Well,
North
Placid,
Placid.
the town of North Elba. Yeah, and they have a couple of concerns. Obviously, workforce housing is a big deal.
Huge.
But it's kind of a backwards thing. You don't keep buying up these junky houses and fixing them up. You know, there's an odd message you have to send out to do that. But beyond that, some of the undercurrent there is unlike around here or any of the other places in Hamilton County. There's a pretty strong hotel lobby.
Oh, there's a huge hotel lobby out
So,
there.
you know, the Hilton and all these big concerns that are up and down Broadway, if they see even a small dip in their stays or even length of stays, they're gonna start to be looking at demonizing the short-term rental.
Point remains, though, that the hotels need people to work.
Oh, they understand
And-
the
and-
workforce part of it,
and-
they do.
And they don't pay, enough for people to buy a house, the rentals are,
Just on that note, we were eating ice cream at Martha's in Lake George. And there's an old motel behind that.
It is.
And that was full of Great Escape
Oh, sure.
employees.
They use it as a dormitory.
They'd move them in and for the summer. That's where they
Yeah,
stay.
because they're usually mostly J1 visa people.
They used to use all the cabins over by the indoor water park for that too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a legitimate, real concern. It's a chicken and the egg. How do you expect somebody to come in here and put up a
Yeah, you
small
can't
factory?
you can't outbid.
When you can't draw in employees because they have nowhere to live.
That's why the museum is building their own employee housing.
Yeah, dormitories
They've got to.
are for bigger factors, they can do that. It's just an odd, one of the things I sat in a year ago, talking about this with the Airbnb things, was you have this gentrification going on, that is snapping up sort of middling looking housing stock, putting money into it, making it real nice, but is not doing it so that it can rent it to my waiters or my short order cooks, whatever.
No.
It's to make the big money. The problem with that is, it's hard to, on one hand, when you're in the zoning business of a community, say, please fix up your places, make them look better, oh, but don't be making them that nice that you wanna go the short-term rental. It's tough. I spent this past week in Jane Jarecki's old house here on Route 8, with my family renting a short-term rental there. And it's
That's now-
wonderful in there. It's, I mean, you can see they put some real Gitas in there.
But it's also one of the last houses that you've seen on the market here for $150,000 or
Yeah.
less. And how long, you know,
Yeah.
it's
Nice little garage.
before they
and
fixed
blah,
it,
blah,
fixed it
blah.
up.
Well, and now construction workers, there's levels of Airbnbs.
Is
Oh, yeah, so, or short-term rentals, whatever group you wanna verbo. So if you're working out of town, rather than stay in one of these hotels, you go with a mid-line Airbnb, pay $700 for the week or less. You don't have a washer dryer, but you're coming home weekends anyway. You do your laundry then, and, you know, you can cook for yourself, you're not dealing with a hot plate in a
No, it's
motel.
It's better than a motel room, it's just more expensive, you know.
Depends on where you're working
Yeah.
and how much people are asking off-season.
Okay, it might not be more expensive.
No, well, one of the things that these things work sort of complementary is, being able to be a higher priced weekend getaway as a short-term rental, but then renting it to workforce people during the week. We used to do this in the inn all the time. We'd have.
Oh, that's what Letty used to do down at the
workers would
motel.
Stay upstairs for $30 a night.
Yep.
But all they got was coffee or something, and it was great, and they were gone by Friday, 6 in the morning. Was
Turn the
usually
room
finished
over.
work, they went back, turn them over, you can get weekend rental. I'm sure the short-term rental, if they're doing them right, some people have managers to do them, some people.
Yeah, see, there was,
Some of them are on.
that's the other thing, is some places are mandating hosted Airbnbs.
That's a big factor,
Yep.
a big factor.
So I have to say, when we had the motel, we always rented to workers, and we always rented them the lower floor that had kitchen units, plus there were gas grills out there. You know, they had the lake, they had the little coin-op laundromat.
Oh, yours
And,
was so
and they
after.
would, and they would come Sunday night or Monday morning,
Yeah,
they'd move
after
right
work on
in.
Monday sometimes.
And they'd leave Friday morning, and I would turn everything over and be ready for the weekend, and then turn it all over again Sunday and ready for them to come in on Monday, and we were booked all the time. So it really, I mean, you have to give them a good rate, you know,
Sure.
when they're coming in every week like that. And I mean, we had State Highway in there for like 5-6 weeks straight, one summer, it's awesome.
And that's perfect for them.
It is,
But,
and it's
but if
perfect
that
for the
kinda,
owner.
when you're just looking at a place and you're just going to work for the first time, and there's no reputation of a place,
Mm-hmm.
they start looking at these mid-grade Airbnbs that don't have everything
Right.
spit shiny, but it's like something that you can use to get to the beach.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, this,
so,
I mean, clearly this is a place for them in this economy and in this area, but it's all of these, boy, we should have thought of that, we gotta think of that, things, especially, you know, where will be the moderately priced, I don't know what you wanna call, places
Yeah,
that
and-
shingles are loose, the moderately priced places for rental.
There's also people that are looking at separations between the residential area and not allowing, they're putting a stop on more Airbnbs in the residential sections of town.
Yeah, just in the commercial zones.
Yeah.
Ours is such a checkerboard here,
Yeah.
at least in the village it is, a little more
yeah.
tracked in the town, but not really, there's places in the town where it just pops up commercial too.
Yeah.
Anything else, Don?
No, I don't have any.
Uh-oh,
Oh, boy.
oh no,
That's the heat.
it's the heat.
Oh.
No, it's a
Oh,
siren.
It's a siren again.
God, the heck's
It
going
wouldn't go off
on?
for us for the polar
No,
plunge.
it was out of commission
It was
for
out of
about 10
commission.
days, and now
I think they're testing it.
Okay,
I would assume they're playing with it.
okay. So that's it on the committees? Okay, so next, motion to pay bills. So we had two bill pays. We'll do them both together. One was the wire transfers and the other one was a regular bill pay. So can I get someone to move that?
I would, but I'm just asking, what about the third little one, you wanna put them all?
That new one we just did.
Yeah, well, we can, how about if we just do that one separate?
Sure.
Okay.
I move the two that you brought up.
Neil, okay, and second?
A second.
Okay. Any discussion on them?
I have a question, it's probably been discussed before, I guess it's a good time to ask it. You know, the post landfill services is $21.97. What do they actually do?
They actually come in and they actually test all the wells and sites
Okay,
there
yeah.
every year. That's what they do and that's what we pay for. It went down in the past 2 years a little bit because they're not testing twice a year now. We're down to one time a year.
Because of the length of time we've been doing it.
So
Right.
also, just to let you know, I had this in my
Yeah,
other part, but
yeah.
I'll let you know, I have all the envelopes and vouchers ready to send out to the towns. So Lake Pleasant will only be responsible for $834. Morehouse, Arietta, Speculator, and Wells all pay
After you
percentages.
send those out, that.
We'll be getting that
will
money
get
back.
Reimbursed. That's
We'll
the
be
way it is.
reimbursed for that, yes. Once we
Sure.
approve that tonight,
How much
then I can go
longer,
ahead and send it.
how much longer do we have to do this, or go to
Forever.
infinity and beyond?
I don't know the exact date, but there was a while there where we kind of didn't do it. We thought we had done it long enough. At least Frank told me, he says, I'd give a try with that. And it worked for a while, and then, eventually somebody said, the state came around and said, you know, we haven't had paperwork on you for a while, so we started doing it again. And there wasn't any of the shared responsibility towns who were clamoring to give us the money either. But the fact that it's been now, the last couple of years, it's been down to 1 year, once, I think in the next, 5 years or so, we can apply for a closeout.
Right, and it doesn't have to be mowed anymore?
Yeah, we mow it once a year.
Oh, do you? Okay, you still do that, I didn't notice.
Just flail it,
That's a
Yeah, we
tip.
take flail mower,
that's
it's much
that's all
easier.
it needs.
Riding.
No more riding lawnmowers.
No,
It's a wonder
Oh,
nobody
well.
got killed.
The tractor was always like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to sit on the uphill side.
yeah. I had a question. What's a REACT system? Northern Supply.
Yes, so that is, you've heard me talking about the, new blades on the trucks that reduce the salt. No, not the back, that put the
Not the
salt out.
veins.
Not the veins. This is the cutting edge on the plows.
Yeah.
They are all 12-inch now, they're 12-inch individual spring-loaded blades, so that they go to all the wheel tracks and everything else. It's not a straight blade anymore. It's this new system, this REACT system. It's part of our, let's save the earth and not use salt as much, which it does cut the salt and the time down. We have it on the state road nose plow and the
it's no harder on the roads, right? I mean, you don't think it's any harder on the roads themselves?
No, it does take their little coal patch
Oh, yeah,
off that they patch these roads with, the state.
Of course.
And their system, they have a different system that goes behind the original cutting edge. They have a
okay.
scat fire that goes behind that. We're using this system because you don't have to buy a new plow system for that. Much cheaper, and it wouldn't fit in our garage with the new, their system.
Okay.
But this, instead of having one 12-foot long blade, they're all 1/5 individual pieces that have 3 sets of springs on them. And literally that 12-inch piece will go like this to contour the road so that we're not leaving that wheel track strip of snow and then having to salt it off of there because the blade will never get to it.
But you're still having to double.
We only double the hill. We do once in a while do the shoulders, but that's only about this much of road. You can obviously see it when you're following the truck because you'll see it looks like,
Well, lines.
yeah, little lines up through the road. And what that is the break between the two little pieces that's leaving water there. But the rest of the road is bare and black.
Yeah.
It takes every bit of the snow and stuff
Good.
off.
So you like this system?
Take a
Yeah.
look, just walk in the door, the plow is right
Yeah,
there. You can
when
see
you walk in the shop door, that plow is sitting right there, it's got one on the wing, one on the plow. And it's
So this is a replacement for,
normal cutting edges.
Got it.
Yeah. So we're trying to, this Lake George, blah, 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 that Tracy's part of, this whole association, we're trying to jump the gun a little bit before they force it down our throat.
it's like, look,
Supposedly, according to Tracy, they're going to come up with money to refund us for all this stuff. Because we're trying to be green to, you know. And, this works. The county bought 2 sets. We started with the wing last year, now I just put one on the nose plow,
got it.
so,
And I have to say, we're doing a very good job on the roads.
thank you.
Because nobody complained about our roads that I heard of, but
No.
between Wells and Speculator
Oh my
and
gosh.
Route 10, they said it was all terrible.
Wow.
And Route 8. Yeah.
The
much.
worst
Where's
driving
the
Ally
Wherever
had
the
to
state
do all
does the
winter
roads, yeah.
was going from here to Indian Lake.
Yeah, here at Indian Lake is not, too good.
Not good.
It's the same old thing. The contract roads always are better than what the state does with their own roads.
Well, there's no way you can get that.
And they now
high.
have, just so you know, they now have 2 trucks on this beat.
Which
And
is,
We used to do one.
right, that's the only way they'll be able to keep up with it, the way they do it with one man.
So any further discussion?
I had one question about the James Brennan bill. I know we signed the contract for that. Is there any concern with them not being able to take a dog if we end up with one with the damage that they've had to their building?
What damage did they have to do?
Oh, they had a
Well,
massive tree fall on their building.
Their building for admin and the nursery for pups is crushed by a tree. But where they put regular dogs is fine.
Is a different place, okay.
It's a cinder
I've
block.
never been there, so I'm not familiar with it, okay.
It's pretty gruesome, but, you know, sort of scantily heated.
I know they've gotten a
the-
lot of donations
Yes,
and,
I'm sure they had insurance, and
Yeah.
beyond that, people are giving to them. The building, I would have called it a trailer, I think it's a modular.
yeah,
You know, sort of
the
a
same thing, manufactured home.
manufactured
Yeah.
home. And it was split down the middle, but on their website, they report it's their offices, and their offices, you can see, was done to hell. But it's also where they have a nursery, I guess that's the puppy quarters.
Nothing,
and they have a cat
nobody
in
was
there.
hurt,
Cats.
nobody was hurt.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, the cats were, a lot of cats, but nothing was hurt.
So They must have had
Well, I didn't know
quite a-
anything about
quite a
it.
shock.
It was,
Yeah.
what was it, Christmas Day or right around there?
Yeah, it was a couple of days, but they're
Be right
hoping their
before Christmas.
insurance
19th
covers
storm.
the replacement of the building.
December
Good.
19th, the
19th.
snowstorm, the 22 inches, that's when that
Yeah.
happened.
Big old.
Big old white pine.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't like those.
But I think they should be able to take any of our strays if needed. It might affect a little bit of their adoption services, cause that's where you go in there and you broker the deal and, you know, they get their shots, et cetera. But they're a good little organization, and a lot of people down that way particularly have a soft spot for them
Yeah.
because of him, because of old man Brennan.
He was great.
So any further discussion? Bills? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we did have a third one last minute tonight, which was one check for Timberline Cafe. Back August 12th, a check was written, it was never cashed. The county wanted to close out for the year, so the Timberline could not find the check, so the county voided it and rewrote another one, so I'm looking for a motion for that. Okay, Don and Rochelle. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, public comment. Eileen, it's up to you. You're the only one that hasn't spoken.
All on you.
Nothing? Okay. We'll start with roundtable. Don,
Nothing.
Neil,
I have a few quick things. One is, please God, send back winter. The second one is just I know we had a moment of silence, but just another thanks again for Helen Alfieri's service to the town. And a reminder, I believe her service is this coming Saturday.
and our flags are at half-staff at the library and also town hall this week.
Exactly.
Where's Saturday?
St. James?
Catholic
I think
Church.
St. James. I wanna say 11, but I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
But you can punch that up. Also proud of county and local community. folks for turning out for Greg Boyer's service this past week. You know, it's always difficult to lose somebody, particularly in a Christmas week. But boy, there wasn't anybody who worked the county, I don't think that wasn't down there, which is really good to see.
Very touching to see all the county trucks
Yep.
lined up coming down.
Yep.
Yep.
And last, certainly not least, a successful, albeit a little warm, successful polar plunge on New Year's Day, where the newest and most updated is $577 was collected for the Wounded Warriors Fund, and but there were 20 plungers and approximately 30 plus visitors, watchers.
How many men?
Of the 20 plungers, there were 5 men.
There
We
did you
broke
count
a
the dog?
record.
No, the dog's a male, so
We broke
there
a
is the
record.
dog.
The dog's a male.
But did you count it in your overall total?
And quite frankly, when
You
you
went
come
twice.
out, it's questionable whether you're a man anymore either. But it does seem to be a trend that has been going the last, what'd you say, 5 or 6 years, Beth?
Yeah.
Of the distaff portion of the show
Well,
has taken over.
just on a side note of that, in our cold water rescue courses, you learn, one of the first things you learn is that skinny men lose their body temperature a lot faster than women.
Okay.
So, I'm no longer skinny, but
That's because we're hot girls.
Well, I believe
Not
that's
flashing, maybe.
due to that extra layer of fat in the epidermis for females. But I'll tell you this, it has not slowed me down any. I'm there because I'm no skinny male.
yeah,
You're the leader of the pack, Neil.
But it was really nice, everybody went to Lemon Tree, and I think having it right across the street, a lot of the spectators all went to Lemon Tree. It was a nice crowd, a nice day.
Was very nice. I wish that winter would come back, but, and some of the visitors seemed to think it was plenty cold enough. That's
you
it,
know,
thank you, Betsy.
winter's always the same
Okay.
temperature, right?
Michelle,
33.
I have nothing tonight.
Kathy,
Court hours.
I have that. Yep.
And also, Mike Fisher finished his coursework, his week-long coursework.
Oh,
He's
nice.
ready to
Good.
go.
Do you wanna report this instead of me?
Sure.
This way if they have questions,
It
you
was
have
a sheet for
answers.
everybody and pass the word. The court hours have changed. The day and actual, well, times haven't changed, but it's moved from Tuesdays to Wednesdays. So court will be Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. DA day is now going to be the second Wednesday of every month,
Wow.
starting at 2 o'clock.
Was
Well,
this
So-
our initiative or theirs?
This was the judges.
Okay, good.
hopefully we'll never have to avail ourselves of those services.
Yes.
And it works out quite well, cause then when we have Monday meetings, that's a holiday, and we have to have meetings on Tuesday, it works out quite well.
Right.
It doesn't interfere.
It does, and I remember when we were first talking to Mike about running, and there was a conflict, and at one point, I think you said, or somebody said in the room, that, you know, when it's the judge's call, I mean, you talk to Katie, if you wanna switch, you switch. I mean, it's only been Tuesday because it's only been Tuesday, it's not chiseled anyway.
Right, and
Sounds
the judges are flipping, so Katie used to take the end of the month. And Judge Purdy would take the beginning of the month, the first 2 weeks, they're flipping those. Judge Smith would like to have the
Well,
first two.
Katie's senior now.
Yeah,
So that was the other change, we kinda, all of us changed, so it might take us a little bit to get adjusted to that, but we'll get there.
Well,
Anything
as long as
else?
it works for you.
That's it,
that's it.
yeah, that was it, just the court stuff.
Randy? Okay. Okay, so we received a check for the LED lighting conversion for $8,650 finally. We still have a street lighting, $8,650 was the check.
Thank you.
We have a street light bill still showing that we received a credit of over $7,000. We're not sure why. They wouldn't accept payment last month, but this month they accepted payment. So the county nor I have gotten answers, so we don't know if this credit we're gonna end up owing again, or what the story is. It could possibly be because what I was saying to them up at county, from June to October, we were paying for regular streetlights and had the LED. Could this be the difference?
That's a big difference.
It's a big difference, I agree, but could it be?
6 months worth of adjustment, maybe.
We're paying $2,400 a month.
Could be.
So we're thinking that could be a possibility, but, so once we hear anything different, we'll let you all know. Nathan Latour has resolved the issue with Excellus Insurance and will be accepting it for the year 2023. Post-closure, we already handled. We received a $250 donation to go towards GAVAC from a taxpayer.
Nice.
Chamber board meeting, Town of Arietta, Town of Morehouse, and myself will be meeting Tuesday this week with the Chamber Board. They have two co-presidents. One is Tracy Joy. The other one is Marty Zestro. Zegstro. And then also the gal from Irondequoit,
Jen Scanlon.
Jen Scanlon, she is the vice president. They pretty much have mostly a new board, so we're kind of optimistic and looking forward to meeting with them and see what we can work out. Court hours Steph already did, and I just want to mention, Frontier Communications, if anybody has any kind of connection with anybody, I have got a lady now that has a senior citizen living by herself that has been without a phone for 25 days, and they want her to wait till January 13th to come and connect it. She does have a cell phone, but she has no cell service at her house. I have called, I went through emergency services at the county. I have called and have scheduled different times for them to come. I actually got a ticket number, and one day drove twice up and down the street looking for, the snow wasn't even broken. No one had even pulled in their parking lot, and their van sat there covered with snow all day. I went all around town looking because I had a ticket number, and it was considered a medical emergency for this person. So if I caught up with a guy, then he had the right to go there and take care of it. Of course, I saw nobody. So I really think something needs to be done. We have so many people in our community, and I'm not going to use names, that have been without it for weeks. And some are businesses, some are medical people, some are senior citizens living by themselves. A couple I was able to help a couple of weeks ago, but it just seems like it's in stalemate now, and I'm not able to help no matter who I talk to.
Right, I can say something on that. We were out phone for 2 weeks, and they blamed it on us at first, and we had the wiring contract, we had everything. They said it was our phone. Well, I knew it wasn't our phone. So, they finally set us a date, 2 weeks, and the guy never called. It was supposed to be between 8 and 12. And right at maybe a quarter after 12, I was just going to call and give them help, like I normally do. The guy knocked on the door and said, check your phone and see if it works. So we did, we had dial tone, everything works fine ever since. All they had to do was go to the building and do something there. And that's it.
They can do an awful lot from that building.
Yeah.
I finally got in there when Kevin was running the show, and it's a marvel in there. I mean, they can do a lot,
So they,
both in troubleshooting. Well,
I don't know.
I'll make a call tonight. The problem here is, again, without names, obviously, I mentioned Kevin here. He's long since retired, but I'll see if maybe he has a name. Because the two fellas who, three in fact, if we count the kid from Seco there, Fred's kid. But the two that were my go-tos are both, I mean, the good news is, if there's any good about having Frontier basically deplete all talent from the area, is that two of those fellas have big jobs with National Grid in our area. Yeah, big jobs. So both Johnny and Adam, good for them. We have power problems, we know what we're called. But it seems like they are slowly depleting the local fix-it guys.
Here's a question. Somebody was telling me that there's a town up north that has brought in Spectrum, that the municipality can, there's some way that the municipality can take, I gotta get this cleared up. Gotta talk a little better. When I get this straightened out in my head, but it involved the municipality, it involved Spectrum, it involved, I think it's Tupper, that
They have
has.
Slick. They gotta be working with Slick. There's several different communication companies, her father was helping to put this together, in order to do the broadband and the fiber optic. Slick is Saranac Lake, something communications, whatever. But they were coming this way, they were coming from the north through Tupper and that area.
Okay,
They probably have enough bandwidth at this point where Spectrum, the carrier, the cable and phone people are probably now in that area. You can't just have them jump into Frontiers.
no, but you can, there's something about buying out Frontier.
I wish they would. I think that,
Something's gotta happen.
that at some point, with the lack of interest that they show now in upstate New York, maybe that's the next step, Kath, is one of those bigger players, more interested players, would grab the area, because, as you know, there's no cable anymore really to speak of here.
No.
And I get it, there's not a lot of demand for obviously you have a landline.
Landline, cause cellular was,
Yeah, we have a landline because.
We have one.
Yeah, because it's sketchy in that form. I have it still for my own reasons, but I wish I didn't, but it's a sketchy phone, but it's also my internet. And,
Ours too.
yeah, and for us, if somebody, and again, I don't wanna praise Spectrum without knowing too much about them, but I know they're bigger, and I know they're here to stay.
They're heavy duty down in where my mom is.
Sure, and all through Clifton Park and Saratoga.
And,
I think they've made their way partially up through Hope, haven't they?
they
Try that.
they
Yeah.
promised the moon and then they
Sharon Armstrong.
jack up the
yeah,
prices.
Frontier. I don't know if she handles, telephone, but she
My niece has
was
been in her
very
apartment for 6
instrumental.
Tom
months.
Wind
Yeah,
was
she keeps
involved
getting
in
put
all
off.
that.
Yeah,
She
or they
was
don't
the
or they.
Because the
Oh, yeah,
the
you're
connection they
right.
had
He got
there
them.
was
He
given
retired.
to
What was that
you
number?
in the box.
844,
But I don't understand why,
320.
because
It makes no
it existed
sense.
us.
445.
Exactly.
I
But
had
that's the
a lot
explanation
of
they're
problems
giving.
with
They're
my
full of it, they're full of it.
Sharon Armstrong.
Oh, sure. It sounds vaguely.
She may be Wi-Fi, but I'm not sure, maybe she can hook you up with
You wanna
some.
have my
Either way,
stickies here
with
with
the
all the information. but
Medical,
they're at home.
they need to be reported to the Better Business Bureau, I mean.
That's part of it, I agree with that.
Absolutely ignore someone that could potentially have some sort of emergency and not have any way of getting a hold of anybody, that's not
Right, I
acceptable.
mean, we've been complaining about cell and sketchy cell for so long, it's part of our DNA. But because of that, there's still a lot of people hanging on and paying, in some cases 2 phone bills, of course. They have cell phones, so when they come into town, they elect
Yeah.
you. But yeah, we've got telephone poles, we got wires, there's just no reason why people don't have regular hardwire phone. I mean,
And
short of a storm.
one person, we had 3 people out on the same road. They went past 2 of the homes and went to the one all the way down and fixed them and then left for the day.
Yeah,
And never showed up at these other 2 where they had appointments, and they did that twice.
that's what they say, that the scheduling is so bad in Frontier that, you never get
It
any.
is.
You call and you're not talking to anybody from
You're
anywhere
talking-
even in
no.
New York State.
And they
Absolutely, they're in
schedule,
Florida
they schedule
and-
something in Indian Lake, don't understand that it takes a half an hour to get from point A to point B.
Or they'll tell you they don't even cover your area.
Yes.
Like, well, then I'm gonna
Right.
stop paying my bill.
Yep, yep,
Cause that lady, she was in Florida.
okay.
But what I did, my Wi-Fi was out, I
Build
was
Dallas
supposed to get the fiber
Twice.
optic.
They billed her twice.
So the
I know.
Attorney General handles Wi-Fi.
Please don't pay it.
So there was a form online that I filled out, and I got action pretty quick, that's how I got that number. And I called that number, and within days it was fixed.
Well, I just have to tell you, there has probably been a dozen people that have been without a phone for 2 and 3 weeks in the same vicinity.
Right?
I'm just saying storm probably.
This is crazy.
Ugh.
But so, okay. That's all I have. Our next meeting, will be on Tuesday, January 17th, because it's Martin Luther King Day on the 16th. So it will be the 17th at the library here at 7, and I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion,
I'll second.
and if
And where the
anybody
hell's
wants,
Gary when you need him?
if anybody wants to stay around and listen to
Hi, Gary.
my short-term rental horror story,
Oh, no.
they can. I didn't think-
we're out of here.